Hi guys, welcome back. So we received another laptop for repair today, so which is an ASUS laptop. So the problem with this laptop, it doesn't turn on, so it's a no power case. So the model number of this laptop is on the back side, so ASUS, which is D540N. So it's 19 volt, rated at 1.75 ampere. Okay, so let us try to diagnose the laptop thoroughly and see whether we can find a solution for this laptop and try to turn on the laptop. Okay. Okay, now let me connect the adapter and look at the reading of the power supply. Yes, it's taking around 1 milliamp, then it's back to 0. Yes, it's taking around 1 milliamp, then it back to 0. There was a fluctuation in the voltage reading also, only once, then it is back to 0. Yes, so something is happening in this motherboard. So I think there is no main power rail in this motherboard. Maybe, I don't know. We have to check that. Okay, now let me open the laptop and see what's happening on the motherboard actually. Okay. We received this laptop from another repair shop, so no problem. So they have already removed the screws, so I'll just try to open the cover. So it's on the top here, so that we can open the top cover so that we can take out the motherboard. Okay, yeah. Yes. Okay. The laptop inside is so grotty, so dusty and grotty. Okay, no problem. I'll just try to disconnect everything from the motherboard. So they have already tried to remove the screws, and if you look here, so the screws are worn out. Okay, so now the board is out. So let us start our basic checkup. So I can first visually inspect the motherboard to see anything visible here. Okay, so this is the DC jack, the first MOSFET, the second MOSFET, the current source resistor is here. Okay, the charger IC, which is BQ24780S, that is also fine. Okay, nothing much going on this side. Everything looked perfect. Yes. So there's no problem in this motherboard as I visually inspect it. So if you look here, there's the capacitor has leaked a little bit, so that's why we are having a greenish color on the capacitor. All right, so let me check that one. Okay, Now let me connect the adapter and see whether we have the main power rail in this motherboard. Okay, yes, now I have connected. Let's see. So I can check on the current sense resistor to see the main power rail. No, we don't have anything. No voltage there. Actually, we are having fluctuating voltage. Actually, the voltage is trying to come into the motherboard, but actually there is some problem on the motherboard or else on the charger IC, which is not giving the gate drive for the first and second MOSFET in order to get the voltage on the current sense resistor here. So that's the problem. So we don't have a voltage on the current sense resistor here. If you look at the power supply, so we can see there's a fluctuation on the current reading, and at the same time there's a fluctuation on the multimeter as well. So the voltage is trying to get into the motherboard, but the MOSFETs are not switching correctly. So let me see the gate of the MOSFETs. Yes, so the gate also having a fluctuating voltage. So the gate voltage is not stable, so that's why we are not getting a voltage on the current sense resistor. As a result, the ampere reading on the power supply is also fluctuating. Yes, but on this side we should have a 19 volt. Yes, this is the input side of the first MOSFET. This is the output side of the first MOSFET. And the second MOSFET is here, and after that we have the current sense resistor here. Okay, let me start the diode check of each inductors in this motherboard so that we can go further with the checking process of the charger IC's requirements. Okay, right. Let me start from the main power rail, which is here. This one here. Okay, we have 500, fine. On this side 300, okay. On this side 70. So this is actually a bit lower. Okay, we should not have this range of diode value on the upper MOSFET. Okay, 500, 524, okay. 500, okay. Everything is okay except this coil here. So it's reading 70. If I keep in the resistance mode, it's reading 56. So the upper MOSFET is actually shorted. So we need to check that one. Okay, right. So okay, so what does this coil doing here? What is the purpose of this inductor in this place? Maybe, yeah, this is for the CPU voltage here. Okay, all right. Alright, so let me check the diode value for the ground actually. Okay, with respect to ground, what do we have? 230, okay, fine. 400, fine. 400, okay. On this side we have 193, so this is fine. So the lower MOSFET is okay actually. On this side 500, so that is also fine. So we have a problem on the upper MOSFET of this section here. So I think we have two upper MOSFET for this section. So let me clarify that once. Yes, I think so. Let me see whether the gates are interconnected together so that I can confirm that. No. No, they are not connected. Actually, my tip of the positive probe is broken just now. So I don't have a spare probe with me. So I have just ordered. So I have to wait for some other days. So I have to use with this one here. So I'll manage it. Okay. So the gates are not interconnected. So let me see whether they are actually the upper MOSFET. Or is it the lower MOSFET? So I can check that with respect to ground. So one probe is now on ground. No. Yes. So this side is ground. Okay. Yes, it's clearly visible actually. Yeah. So we have the inductor here. This is the drain point of the upper MOSFET connected to the 19 volt. And here we have the source, and the inductor is connected to the source of the first MOSFET, and the drain of the second MOSFET is also connected to the inductor, and we have the ground. So these are upper and lower, so we have only one MOSFET here for the upper. So I can check that here as well for the diode value. So yes, it's reading. Okay, if you notice that, so we should get only a reading on one side only. So actually the drain is on this side here. Yes, here we have a drain, and on this side here we have the inductors, which is the source. So it's reading 70, okay, but on the other side we should get a reading like high impedance beyond 2.3 like that, but we are reading very low, which is 195. So actually, and I'm sure that the upper MOSFET is shorted. Okay, so let us replace that one and see whether the problem has solved. Okay. So we can replace these types of MOSFET from the same place from other scrap motherboards on the CPU core sections, or we can replace with a brand new one. Okay, it is well fixed in its place. Okay, everything looks fine. Right. Before connecting the adapter, which is the power supply, I'll just try to check the diode value of the upper MOSFET that we have just replaced. So from the current sense resistor to this inductor here, oh, still we are reading the same value. It's 48 now. Okay, so let me check on this point here. What about on the current source resistor? Wait a second. Did you see that the current source resistor is reading 5, which means directly shorted to ground? Actually, I was actually wrong with this upper MOSFET here. Wait a second. Okay. So then why there was a low reading on this point? Okay. Right. The reason was actually this coil is the CPU core coil, which will have low resistance to ground. And on this point we have a perfect ground, so that's why we were reading low on this point here, which was showing as that the upper MOSFET was shorted. Yes, that's the thing. So we have a short on the main power rail. Okay, so something is clicking in my mind. Okay, so I have showed you something before, that there was a capacitor which was greenish in color. I think that is the culprit for this motherboard to have the short on the current sense resistor. So let me see that. So where is that? Yes, it's here. If you look at this capacitor, which is yes, it's here. So this capacitor has a green color on this side. Okay, let me see. Actually, I'm sure this is connected to the main power rail. So continuity mode. Yes, it's shorted. Okay, let me remove that capacitor and see whether we can solve this motherboard. So there's no problem with the upper MOSFET here. Actually, I was wrong. Actually, I should have tested this point after checking all the coils for the diode value. I forgot to check here. That's the thing. So if I check already in this motherboard, in this section, so I would have immediately found the problem is actually on this side, not on the upper MOSFET here. Okay, so let me try this in my future repairs, so I should not forget that. I usually do that, but anyway on this motherboard I forgot to do that. Okay, let me try to remove this one. Yes, it's removed. So let me see whether we have a high impedance on this point here. On the main power rail, we can check that on the main power rail. Okay. Still we are having a short. Okay, let me remove the capacitor nearby. So which is this one here as well. Okay, removed. I can check on this point with buzzer mode. So now it's on buzzer mode. So we have a beep. Yes. On this side, no short. Okay, no short. All right. So diode value on the current sense resistor. Yes, we are reading 522. That is fine, no problem. With the reverse probing, red probe on the current sense resistor, I'm reading 2 point and overlimb. Yes, so there's no short on this motherboard hereafter. So I think these two guys are sorted in this motherboard actually. Yes, these two guys are shorted. So now I can check again on the same point here, which is on the uppermost side of this section here. So now we should have a proper reading. Yes, we have 505, so that is fine. Okay, so what about the ground resistance with regard to this coil here? Yes, it's reading 89. So if you see here, so we have the same reading with respect to ground, which was the one that we had on this point here on the upper MOSFET. That is because the current sense resistor is now replaced as the ground point from this point to here. Is because these two capacitors were shorted. As a result, the ground is the current sense resistor is straightly connected to the ground point here. So that's the problem. So now we have solved that problem, and we need to replace these two capacitors, and then we can give the power to the board and see whether it is working fine. Okay, so now I have replaced another two capacitors on this place here, and I have cleaned the board and it looks fine. So now let's go for a test, and let me connect the adapter and see whether we have the board working fine. All right. Okay, look at the display of the power supply. I'm connecting the adapter. Yes, it's connected. Yes, it's taking around 140 milliamps. I think the board has turned on. Okay, it's turned off again. 23 milliamps. Yes, you see it's taking around 130 milliamps. Okay, so I think the board is working fine. Now let me connect a mouse and see whether we have the mouse LED working. Okay, actually this motherboard is working with the low end processor, so that's why there's no much current drawing from the power supply. All right, yes, we have the display, so it's working fine. So there's no problem except this main power rail here. Okay, so only these two capacitors are the culprit to make the short in this motherboard. So but actually I was wrong in the first point, that I thought this guy has shorted. So that is because the resistance of the CPU is very low, like 50 or 60 ohms. So when this point was grounded, with shorted directly to ground, because of this capacitor here, I thought that this MOSFET was shorted. Okay, anyway, we have found the problem and we have solved it now. Okay, now let me assemble this motherboard into the laptop and let's go for a last test. Okay. Okay, so everything is assembled inside the laptop. So let me try to connect the adapter and see whether we have a display. Yes, it's taken around 200 milliamps, 24 milliamps. Okay, 300. Yes, we got display. All right, so we got the display. Everything is working fine. So let me see whether we have Windows is booting. Okay, I think the battery is not charging, so I don't know whether the battery is good or bad. So let me leave it as it is. I'll just go with the customer, the repairman, and if there is a problem with the battery, so we can leave it as it is. If the battery is good, then we need to see the problem, why the battery is not charging actually. Okay, so the laptop is working fine. So you can see on the taskbar, on the notification here, which is the battery is not detected. So I think there's a problem with the battery only. So we can leave it as it is. So no need to worry about that. And so, okay, so we have solved this laptop. So there's no problem, it's working fine. So thanks for watching guys, and stay tuned for future updates.